Lesson 11.7, we're going to continue our work with percentages in the area of interest. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Interest is the amount of money charged or for borrowing or using money. And typically the most common example of interest is, say, at a bank, where you go and you get a loan from a bank. You don't only have to charge back the loan, but you also have to charge back or pay back a fee, and that fee is the interest. Simple interest is one type of fee paid for using money. We actually have various different ways in which we calculate interest. We're going to deal with simple interest, but there's compound interest and so on, and those are things for later talks. So interest is a formula, or at least simple interest is based on a formula. Here it is, I equals P times R times T. Each of the letters, and I've color-coded them here on this particular demonstration, each of the letters represents a value. So I is the simple interest. That is the money that is paid or earned by the loan. Okay. P is what we call principal. It is the amount of money that is borrowed or invested. R is the rate of interest, and that's a percentage, but we express that when we use that that percentage here, we have to express it as a decimal. And then T is time. It is the amount of time that we borrow or invest, and that has to be done in years, by the way. So if the value is given to you in anything else, like in months or something, you need to change it to years. So now we're going to go ahead and start using this formula, and I'll show you how that works right now in a few examples. So Tristan borrowed $14,500 from his brother and promised to pay him back over 5 years at an annual simple interest rate of 7%. How much interest will he pay if he pays off the entire loan at the end of the 5th year? So now, if I start with my formula, and then we actually have what is the total he will repay. We'll get to that in a second. Okay, so our formula here calculates the interest if we have the principal, the rate, and the time. So I'm going to go ahead here, and I am going to insert the information that I have into the formula. So Tristan borrowed $14,500. That is my principal. Principal is the amount of money that we borrow or invest. So that's supposed to be $14,500 times the rate. In this case, the rate is 7%, so that'll be 0.07. And the time in years, we're doing this 5 years. And so in this particular case, I'm being told that to calculate the interest, I take the principal, multiply by the percent, and multiply by the time. Okay, I'm going to punch that into a calculator, 14,500 times 0.07 times 5. And so this value here is $5,075. So the interest, in this particular case, the interest only, is $5,075. So that is the answer to the first question here, how much interest. Now the second part of the question is how much will he have to repay? Well, he will have to repay the principal, which was the $14,500, plus the interest. So this $5,075 has to be added back in to how much he pays. So our total payoff amount, when we get all said and done, will be $19,575. So that answers our second part of our question. The total amount of repayment is $19,575. Isaiah invested $3,500 in a mutual fund at a yearly rate of 6%. He earned $945 in interest. For how long was the money invested? Now here's the nice thing of this formula here, is because it has 4 parts, I can actually answer 4 different questions. Now watch what happens in this particular case if I go ahead and I insert the information I'm given into the formula. Isaiah invested $3,500 in a mutual fund. Well, that sounds like the principal to me. So $3,500 is my principal. So I'll I will replace P with that value. At a rate of 6%, so 0.06, so I will replace R with that. He earned $945 in interest. So in the place of the I will put my $945. For how long? So that's the time. And that is what we are trying to find in this particular case. And you notice, since I only have this one variable left, I can solve this equation for that value. So now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I'm going to multiply 3,500 times my rate, my 0.06. That's 210. Actually, I made my caret a little bit too big. Let me make that a little smaller. So 210 still times T equals 945. Now if I solve my equation here, let me divide both sides of this equation. This is where all that work with solving equations again comes in handy. 210. If I divide both sides of my equation by 210, you'll notice here my 210s reduce themselves out, and I will be left with T. So 945 divided by 210 is 4.5. And so in this particular case then, that's 4.5 years. Because we are, again, remember our time in this case is done in years. So our time, the money was invested for 4.5 years. All right, let's keep it rolling. Nadia's aunt deposited $3,000 into a savings account as a college fund for Nadia. How much will be in this account after 5 years if the account earns a yearly simple interest rate of 3.5%? So, okay, let's pull out my formula here and let's put in the information that I have. And so she deposited $3,000. Well, that sounds like principal to me. All right, so $3,000 will go in there. Do I have my rate? Yes, I do. 3.5% is 0.035. And do I have my time? Yes, I do. I have 5 for my time. Again, I'm just pulling these pieces of information out of my thing. So to calculate the interest earned, all I have to do is multiply those three values together. So I'm going to punch it in. 3,000 times 0.035 times 5 years is $525. Now in this case, this is not the answer to the question though. So this is just how much interest did she earn? Well, she earned $525. The question in this case is how much will be in this account after 5 years? Well, we will have to take the principal. Let me change colors here. The principal, the $3,000 that we invested in the first place, we need to add the interest that we've earned over that 5 years. And so the total will be $3,525. So that is the solution to our problem in this particular case. But we used our formula, we inserted the information that we knew, we found the thing that we didn't, and used it to answer our problem. To pay for her college expenses, Hannah borrows $7,000. She plans to repay the loan in 5 years at a simple interest rate, using simple interest. If Hannah repays a total of $9,187.50, what is the interest rate? Now this is where we have to be somewhat careful of what we have and what we're given in our formula here. So I didn't mean to move the screen. That was a mistake. But okay. So all right, let's go ahead and insert what we know into this problem. Now let me move this over a little bit more. Okay. And see what we need. So she borrows $7,000. That is my principal. That's the amount borrowed. Okay, that goes in there. Do I have my rate? No. Because that's what we're trying to find is our rate. So I will just leave that as an R. Do we have our time? Yes, we do. That's 5. And which means that we need to somehow come up with the interest. Well, we do actually know the interest. We just don't know it directly. Okay. We know, though, that Hannah repays a total of $9,187.50, and she borrowed originally $7,000. Well, there obviously has been an increase there. What is the increase? Well, that is the interest. That change in value, whatever it is the interest. So if we take $9,187.50 and we subtract the $7,000 original investment and do this, so 0, 5, I'm just doing the subtraction here, 7, 8, 1, and 2. So it changed by $2,187.50. Well, that is the interest. So if I go over here to my formula now and I insert that $2187.50, you'll notice now the only thing left to find, is our rate. So I'm going to go ahead here and we're going to do a little bit of calculations up. I'm going to clean up 7,000 times 5 is 35,000. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put those together. And I still have my rate here that I have to find, and I have $2187.50 over here. But now I have this equation, and again, going back to our solving of equation steps, if I divide 35,000 out of each side, well, my 35,000s here will reduce to 1R, which is what I want over there. And on this side, if I divide by 35,000, and again, this is a thing that I am going to right now punch into a calculator. So 2187, which you may punch these into calculators at this particular point just to speed up the process. You do need to be showing your work, however. What steps are you taking? So 0.0625. Now, again, multiplying by my 100 will bump the decimal 2 places to the right. 6.25%. So that is my solution in this case. I paid, or she paid, 6.25%. But we have to realize in this particular case that we do have the interest given to us. It's just not directly, so we have to go find it. All right, your turn, practice time. So questions, come see me as always. Good luck.